Hello and welcome everyone. There will be a voiceover ahead. I know my voice isn't that good, but please bear with me and please watch till end. Hello everyone. I'm Kim Vine and this is my best friend Kim Taeyong, who happens to be my husband also. We got married in a really dramatic way, and because of that, I'm about to give birth just after 9 months and some days since our wedding. But in the end, everything is alright because we both love each other and we want to have a baby together. If you guys want to know how we got married, you can watch it through the link in the description. Taeyang was talking to the doctor when Vine felt her labor pain again and she screamed, making Taeyang more scared. He kissed her forehead and then helped her to go out in the car. Vine was in the car while Taeyang called his mom to inform her about Vine. He entered the car and saw Vine was now sitting while being quiet. Taeyang nodded and drove the car towards the hospital. Vine was with the doctors while Taeyang's and Vine's parents also arrived at the hospital. Mrs. Park, Vine's mom said, and Taeyang smiled weirdly because his mom was right. In his nervousness, he didn't bring anything with him to the hospital. Soon, Mrs. Kim also arrived with Yoonji and Jimin. Yoonji is Taeyang's sister, and Jimin is Vine's brother. Taeyang said, and Mrs. Kim nodded. The nurse said, and Taeyang immediately went towards her while being hella nervous. The nurse said, and Taeyang followed her while everyone else was praying inside the hallway. The nurse made him sterilize his hands and then took him inside where he saw Vine laying on the bed while crying in pain. He quickly went towards her and held her hand, trying to comfort her. He said, trying to comfort her while he himself was quite scared. She nodded towards him, trying to endure the pain. After a few minutes, Vine was pushing while crying in pain, and Taeyong was just too much scared now. He held his cheek when he felt a tight slap on it and then heard the baby crying as the doctor pulled it out. He looked towards Vine. Her face was filled with sweat and she slept while being exhausted. He kissed her forehead while the doctor congratulated him, and the nurse was about to bring the baby towards him when he saw her placenta coming out. He said with too much fear in his eyes and fainted. After a while, the young opened his eyes and looked around himself and saw his family members were surrounding the baby crib as Wine was on the bed smiling towards them. He quickly got up and went towards Wine and started checking if she was alright, making her smile at his scared face. He said, and everyone in the room laughed, making him turn towards them with his make expressions, a little bit offended. But then he remembered something. He asked it while being happy like no other and quickly went towards the crib and took the baby in his arms, kissed her cheeks. She said while being a little sad, but the young's mom came to the rescue. She said, and Wine smiled. Mrs. Park came towards her and kissed her forehead, making everyone in the room a. Jimin said, and Wine nodded, making their mom smile. She said, and everyone smiled. Yunji said, and everyone laughed, making Taeyong smile nervously. After a while, everyone went out to give the couple some privacy, and Taeyong sat beside Wine while their little girl was sleeping in her crib. He said, and kissed her forehead, making her smile. A year later, Wine is getting ready while Taeyang is playing with his baby girl Snow White in the living room. Today, Jimin and Yoonji are getting married and they have to go there. Taeyang and Snow White are already dressed, but Wine was taking a little time. She said and left her room quickly. She came inside the living room and saw Taeyang was playing with their daughter, while she was also giggling. She is totally a daddy's girl, even though she doesn't talk properly yet, but her first word was dada instead of mama. That day, Wine was a little jealous of Taeyang, but then when she saw his smile, she let it go. She said, making Taeyang look at her, and he just got lost in her. He said and kissed her while Snow White was in his arms, and she also demanded for a kiss, but pointing at her cheeks. Wine and Taeyang smiled and kissed her on her cheeks, making her giggle cutely. Yoonji and Jimin were taking the vows while Taeyang and Wine were watching them smiling. He asked while smiling. She said while being a little angry, making Taeyang alert to rescue himself as soon as possible. He said the last part with a smirk on his face while pointing towards Snow White, who was in her grandma's arms sleeping, which gave Vine a blush on her cheeks and she hit her chest. Taeyang was about to flirt more, but Yoonji and Jimin completed their vows and everyone clapped for them, while Wine ran towards Yoonji and hugged her tightly, congratulating her. She said to Yoonji and Jimin, and they nodded while Wine looked at her daughter. Snow White said in her baby voice, making Wine adore her more, while Taeyong brought her milk bottle and gave it to Wine. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Okay, bye. See you soon.